Hello YouTube fans, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and I'd like to welcome you back today. Today's project is going to be this Ambassador Black Max 6500, and this one came into me. I'll be perfectly honest, I've already been into this reel because I wasn't sure I would be able to fix it. And what happened is this reel came in with this frame, and when it came in with this frame, the bottom of this frame is where the reel seat was, and it had snapped off, and it didn't come with the new reel seat or anything. It just came, guy sent it in, said, can you do anything with it? And fortunately I was able to look through the pile of parts that my dad had. There was a box down there that had some frames in it, and I found one that looked really close, and at first glance it looked perfect, except well, it looked perfect to me. Everything seemed to match up. All the posts were in the right positions to fit everything. Everything looked great. So I decided to go ahead and see if I could swap it out and see if everything fit. And it fit reasonably well. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing apart and service it, and I'll show you what things didn't quite match up, which I had to fix. Okay, we're going to start off by taking the back side off instead of the front side, because this is where there was a little bit of difference. And there wasn't a part number on either one of these frames, so I didn't have that to operate off of. And you can see right now that there is a post right here that sticks through the case. Well, on this one originally, there was also a post that stuck through the case, but it came up just flush with the outside of the case. Well, when that was like that, these posts right here stuck up the same amount that's sticking up when I went to put this in. So what I had to do was file these three posts down in order to make it fit. So I filed them down to where they were exact fits right up through, and there we have it. That took care of that problem. Okay, so we're going to take this off now, and it's got a clicker on here, and when you go to put this in, make sure that this clicker is in that position and not that position. If it's in that position after you get it put together, the clicker won't work. So make sure that you put it in that position so that you've got everything where it needs to be. Because what happens when this moves forward, this part pushes against that post and it moves the clicker down onto it. So make sure that this is in this position when you put it back together. All right, so that's got that there. Okay, we're going to pull the shaft out, or the spool out. And here's our worm gear for our line guide, and it's in good shape. Let's go ahead now and we'll pull this apart on the other end, and we're going to take this part all apart so that you know how to go about taking this out. This reel was given to me to work on by a friend my co-worker of my daughter. She just changed jobs, and when they found out that I worked on reels, they got all excited and they brought her 2 reels. There will be another reel showing up as soon as the parts come in for it. All right, with that off, we've got a C-clip right here. Now, if you try to take this off without taking that C-clip off, it's not going to come off. All right, so we need to take and pop the C-clip off. Be careful not to let it shoot. I like coming and pulling it like that. Okay, that's got the C-clip off. With that done, we can now lift this off and we can unspin. Also, you didn't see it, but when that came off, this was on the bottom side of it. It was stuck to the handle. Okay, I took that off, and see, it came off with the handle again. Now the handle's over here. There we go. Set that over there, and now let's unscrew this star drag adjuster go. So this has all been cleaned up. So there's no, you're not going to be wasting any time cleaning this up on this video. So we're going to take these screws out. All 3 screws released. There we go. And now that's got the axle shaft still held in place. All right, the way to get that loose is you take this cap off, and now you see you've got this plastic keeper on here. If you take and slide that over to the side, that's it, this way. There we go. It'll just slide right off. And now you can slide the axle shaft out. Okay, now you're down to this. That's all that's left. This reel's pretty much apart. The seat is riveted in, like so. And the other part is this right here. And what you can do is this clip right here, you can pop the clip off of this side, and then this will pull off if you take this screw out. That's all. There's all been taken apart, and I don't really see a whole lot of point in taking it apart again. This will just, you take this clip off, this, and unscrew this, pull out the pawl. I'll show you how to do that real quick in case you don't know how to do that. There we go. And again, I don't like to overly take reels apart when they don't belong to me. This one belongs to Javier. And let's see if we can tap this down. There we go. There's the pawl out, like so. Now with the pawl out, with this clip, you just rotate this around, like so. Okay, and then this will just slide out. And then you can clean it. And if you wish, what you can do is pull this out, slide it out, and then everything goes back together the same way. So we're going to go ahead and throw it back together, this part back together now. Slide this down in there, and put our clip on, and I think it goes the other way. There we go. And this one doesn't fit in this case quite as nicely as it did in the other case, but it does fit it, and it does work well. Okay, slide it over. There we go. And make sure it slides all the way back in. That's why I didn't want to take that out. This one's a much tighter fit on this one than it was on the other. Okay, now you can spin this and notice this doesn't move anywhere. Okay, it's because we don't have the pawl in. If you've taken this apart, you want to clean this pawl out. Make sure that it's nice and clean. And when you put it back, you're going to drop it back into the hole that it came out of right here, like so. Push it down a little bit, and then you're going to rotate now and give it a little tension with your finger like that. Oh, sorry. Give it a little bit of tension with your finger like that. And once you've got it to where it will go back and forth, like so, then you want to come back and put your cap back on. There goes your pawl cap. And before you tighten it the rest of the way, make sure that it will move freely all the way back and forth. Like so. Okay. Then snug it. Okay, and it's not plastic, so it won't break. Okay, there we go. Now this part's ready to go back together. Also, if you ever needed to, this part does snap off and come off. But for cleaning, I guess you could do that. And I used it to transfer the part from this one over to this one. Okay. And I just happened to get lucky that there was one of these in that box for me to use. Okay. Now we're going to take these 2 screws out. And set them on this side over here. Keep them separate from those 3 because they are not the same screw. All right. With that done, we can now sit this down and lift the cover off. There you go. And now, here is the guts. This is your bridge assembly. This is your spring mechanism that holds it in place. And if it sticks like this one is doing, see, this side over here comes up okay, fairly easy, but this other side wants to stick. And what you can do is just get slightly underneath it and just pry it up a little bit, and it'll pop right up, or it should, like so. Okay, that comes up. Now, with that off, you can lift the yoke out. There we go. And this yoke, there's no reason to pop this out unless the gears are torn up, and there's no torn up on these gears. So that's how it goes, and it's going to sit right back down in there like that. Okay, now we're going to lift the gear assembly out, and it's going to come out with our anti-reverse pole. I'll lift that out off of there, and now we can take and slide these two washers off. They're bent, they're thrust washers. They give it tension washers, sorry. And we've got this sleeve. We're going to take that off. It's a plastic sleeve. And now we can go ahead and slide the entire gear set off. Shut this down. And now underneath, there should be one hard phenolic washer, like that. And then inside, there should be, let's pop all these out at once. Okay, you should have a phenolic washer, and I do not believe these are HT100s. They were greased when I got in here, and I re-greased them again when I put it back. Okay, there's that one, and there's a keyed washer. Then there's another drag washer, like so. And then there is an eared washer. It's got the little ears on each end. Then there's another drag washer, and then there is the bell washer. Okay, and now you start looking at this and go, well, would I need to take any of the rest of this apart? Well, it could be. If this is really dirty, you may need to take this off. And what you can do is just lift all three of these up at once, but it's easier to notice where they go if you're gentle with it. And we'll go in and take them out one at a time. Okay, like this. Okay, so this one goes on the top. Then goes your button. This is the button that deactivates or activates the spool release. And then you've got this last one right here. Okay, and it does come off. It was off the other day. Pulling it the wrong end. There we go. This one comes off over here, like so. All right, and then you can wipe all this clean. And I've already done all that. I've already cleaned it all. And it is clean. And I'm going to go ahead now and we're going to reassemble it. Okay. So you're looking at it now and going, well, where does everything start? Well, here's the thing. If you look at it, this long, tall post here, that's your gear. That's where this guy here is going to go. So when you look at that, you can tell, all right, that's where the gear is going to go. And we don't have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and get the rest of this put together. Well, before you can put that on, you've got to put these three pieces back on here. Okay, first one is this eccentric here. Okay, set it down. That's part of your trip lever. Next is going to be your push button. That's this one here. And it sits right down over that like that. See, it's got the wide spot and it sits down over top of that, like so. And this is going to be pushing in and out for your spool release. Okay, then comes this one. Okay, and what you do is you grease underneath here, grease underneath everywhere it's going to slide. You'll give it a little dab of grease and then set this one on that center pin. And if it's on there correctly, what can happen is when it comes back, this is what happens. It gets tripped and pushed back this way. And when the button is pushed, it pushes the whole thing back forward this way. All right. So we're going to leave it back here like this at the moment and set it back down. The next part that we're going to need to put on is going to be our yoke. And you would take and grease this yoke very carefully. Make sure, first off, you would inspect all the teeth. And this one's already been inspected to make sure that the teeth are good. And they are. Okay. And if you snap this out, snap it back in. And then you're going to grease this pinion gear. Get it ready. And then set it back in. Now, see this slot right here? All that slot is what engages on the spool, sorry, on the spool shaft and the spool, like so, okay? The spool shaft will come up through here like so, and when that's there, this piece will come down like so, and that's what locks in and disengages and engages your spool, okay? There's disengaged, so the spool will spin. There's engaged, so the spool can't spin except by being driven by this gear. All right? So this part is going to go down like so. Slide our spool all the way down, our yoke all the way down. And now we're ready to come over and reinstall our tensioner. It's this guy here. And it's got to go on here with these springs pushing down on the top. A lot of people try to put these things together with those underneath, thinking that they fit underneath there, and if you do that, this thing will not function at all. These go on the top like so. All right, you got a post, one hole, post goes in this hole here, and one goes in this hole over here, and you snap it down in there. Come on. Make sure, oh, push this in a little bit. There we go. There we go. Get this side lined up over here. It's not wanting to line up because that's in the way. Here we go. Like so. Okay, that's all the way down there. That's all the way down. And now, when you push this button, it should, see how it comes through and activates? And then when the when this comes around, it's going to kick in, and it's going to kick it out like this and back like so, and release the button back out. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to put this gear spool, post on, and we are going to want to put on this anti-reverse pawl. Now, you get these two little ears right here, and that's got to fit on each side of this cog right here, like that. See how that fits on there? Now, when you've done that, you grease this post right here, set this down, and then you line up that anti-reverse pawl over there, that hole, with that post right there, and set it down. Then you're ready to put on this hard washer. Set the gear back in place after you've greased it, and this one has been greased. It's ready to go. Set that back down on there, like so, and get it to align with this gear over here, right there. With that done, we're ready to start building this back up and put just a very light coating of grease on your drag washers, sliding them on. Here goes the first drag washer, then goes the keyed washer. It's got this flats on each side of the center post. That locks it in, okay? Next comes the next drag washer. Then comes the eared washer, and it will spin around and around on the center post, but it locks into the gear by those two ears right there. Okay, with that done, we're going to sit on the next drag washer, followed up by the bell washer, and the part that's convex, I believe it is, yeah, convex is sticking out, and that's going to go on here like so. The next part to go on is going to be this sleeve, followed up by these two tension washers. Now you can put those on any way you want. I kind of like to put them on opposed to each other to give it more tension, so that it makes it, I think, a little more adjustable. All right, there we go. Two tension washers are on, and we are ready at that point to set our cover back on, like so. Make sure that this button is in the slot over here. If it's not going to fit right. There we go. Make sure it snaps down. The button is in there. And let's put a screw in. All right. And now we should be able to hit the button. It should stay in, and when we rotate this, it should click back out, just like that. And then our anti-reverse should work like that. It'll turn this way, but it won't reverse. Okay? With that done, we're ready to put this side case back on. And now remember what I told you about this clicker. Make sure it's all the way down before you go putting this back together. Okay? And you got your 3 line here. There's your 3 holes there. Make sure that you've got a hole where that clicker is, and then set this back in right like that. And you should be able to line everything back up. Okay? Everything should snap back down, fitting firmly, which it does. All right, and we're going to put the 3 screws back in on this end. All right, with that done, we can take and oil our bearing right here on the shaft. And there is no bearing to oil on this side of the shaft. What we can do is go ahead and slide the axle shaft in, and then set it back down inside here. And get it to line up in that hole. Oh, before we put that in, let's make sure that we put some oil in the bushing. Then we can line this up, set it back into place, like so. With that done, we are ready to set this other side back in. And now we line up our 3 main holes again over here. Set this in. And set it all back in, get it all to line up. Get the screws started. There we go. Okay, took me a while to figure out what was going on. What was happening, I was putting the spool in like so, and I was loading it in like that. Okay, when I was doing that, when I was putting this together, our brake assemblies here were catching on this outer edge here, and it was binding. So in order to prevent that from happening, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and insert the spool into it like so, and then we'll set it all back in like so, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Let's see here, this has got to go this way. There we go. A little bit more difficult to do, but not impossible. Okay, slide it in, get that to line up. Okay, there we go. All right, now, there we go. Let's go ahead at this point And I believe, yep, one of the tension washers is out. We'll go ahead and put it back in. Put that in like so. All right, now let's go ahead and insert this keeper onto the shaft like so. There we go. And now we can put the cap back on. Before we do that, go ahead and put a drop of oil on there like that. Make sure your copper piece is still inside the cap. Put that down. Go ahead, screw it into place. And what you want to do is adjust it down until the spool just will barely rock from side to side. And that's pretty much it right there. All right. Now, let's go ahead and install the drag star adjuster. Drag to keep it from bouncing around. And if you look, there's just a little bit of bend in this handle right here. I'm going to try to straighten that just slightly and see if I can, but I don't know if I, oh yeah, that's straightened out nicely. All right, let's go ahead, set that in place, clip, and go ahead and snap it into place. Like so. Put the nut on. It's crooked. There we go. Tighten it down. Gotta line it up so that that point is pointing at that hole. And set this cap back in place like so, and we should be able to put the screw back in. All right. And now we have a Black Max 6500. Let's adjust the drag. Very nice. When you get done and you're not using it, keep the drag off. And there you go. There's the Black Max 6500 Abu Garcia. And we've done a frame change on it. And was this exactly the right frame? No, but it was close enough that it allowed us to get it done. So Javier is going to have a functional reel again, ready to go back out and get to work. Okay, if you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, please hit the dislike button and tell me what you didn't like about it. If you'd like to see other videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. And for now, that's Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.